Hey there, good morning. Well, it's not been at 10, it's been at 6:40 a.m. Because I wanted to give you guys an update on the current conditions as the snow is moving out of the area this morning. Picked up about 3 inches in my yard here. Thankfully, my neighbor Mike got the tractor out, I don't know, hour and a half ago and cleared a decent part of our neighborhood, but definitely snow covered. So if you're for a lot of you that picked up maybe 2 to 3 inches, I saw a report in Crestwood of 4 inches. Then your neighborhoods are probably snow covered if they weren't treated, they weren't plowed, obviously. So obviously, a lot of school closings. My kid is on e-learning, synchronous e-learning for today. And so obviously we've got a snow day. Pretty decent snow. It looks like it turned out pretty much what we expected as far as snowfall totals. Many areas kind of on that higher end of around 3 inches. And let me give you a look at the current situation. I'm going to show you a bunch of the road cameras. Looks like the interstates and the highways are in pretty good shape. They've been treated. A lot of them have been plowed. So if you can get to your highway or your busy road, then you're probably in decent shape this morning. So let me try to bring this up here for you. There's the snow. It's all off to the east. The snow is gone, and we're going to be pretty quiet, actually, for the rest of this week. And let me try to go ahead and bring up the website here. And so this is 511in.org. So as we cruise around, try to find a good lit up camera here. And so this here is I-65 at Sellersburg. And there you can see the road looks actually pretty good right there, just on the wet side. So as always, thanks to the road crews out there that have been working through the overnight with this snowfall. We've got some snow reports as well coming in. Please let me know how much you've seen in your yard. Typically, you want to find a flat spot with that ruler and just dip it down, see what you got as far as those snowfall totals. Cheers to you guys this morning. But there you can see things are moving just fine on I-65 there that is exit 7, I believe, right there. And then looking around the Trimark here, several accidents here over Metro Louisville. Let me go ahead and pop on the camera layer here. And let's just kind of cruise around a little bit. There you can see the traffic. I'm going to bring that up full screen. Traffic flowing as it usually does here on I-65, just south of downtown. So not seeing any issues there. Let me see what we got here. This is I-64 east of Louisville, Cochran Tunnel. That view is not the best. Here is a look at I-71 at Zorn. Things are moving along just fine there. Here we go. Here is some heavy traffic there on, this is 264 Westport Road. But even you can see, off the interstate on Westport Road, the on and off ramps, the secondary roads, the busy routes are looking fine this morning. I'm not seeing any issues there with that. It's going to be the neighborhood roads that have not been treated that are still going to be snow covered here early this morning. I just showed that camera. And we've got you linked up here too, by the way, if you ever want to check it out at extolmag.com/weather. We've got 31 degrees out there now. Wind gust at 9, so pretty light winds out there. And then we've got the winter weather advisory still in place here. I believe that's until 9 a.m. We can click on that here. But again, the snow is all gone. It's going to be a chilly day today. And our winter weather advisory here from the National Weather Service continues until 10 a.m. this morning. Even though the snow is gone, the advisory is out there just for the potential impacts on the roadways. So let's take a look at some of the snow reports, and then we'll check out some of your comments here. See how much snow you guys have gotten. So please drop in the comments if you've had a chance to get outside and check out how much snow you've got in your area. So you can see the big radar and satellite. showing this system spreading to the East Coast. And let me go ahead and get out of the full screen mode here and hit stop. And we'll zoom around to some of these snow reports that have been coming in here. So we got in Pekin 2.5 inches. And it looks like near Okolona, we got 3.5 inches. On the east end, Middletown, 3.5 inches. Lexington's got 1.5. We've got one up here in Scottsburg at 3 inches. A few slide offs reported there in Scott County. Madison, 3 to 4 inches. This report came in at 5:40 in the morning. Conditions are hazardous, and they have had several slide offs there in Jefferson County, Indiana. We got a snow report here. National Weather Service employee in the Hamburg area in Clark County, 2.7 inches. So there you go. Again, just pop it on here early morning, not your typical Ben at 10, but we'll still do a Ben at 10 coming up at 10 a.m. to give you your forecast. But we are just looking at the current conditions and the snowfall amounts. Decent snow here. I was curious. I didn't have a chance to check it yet. This might end up being a record for today's date for Louisville. And actually, let me check that out real quick. But it's always kind of fun when you're sleeping. You don't know necessarily how much is going to be on the ground. It reminded me of being a kid when you wake up and you're like, oh, it happened. We actually got it. And then you get the snow day. But nowadays, my son still has the synchronous e-learning, so he's going to have to still do some school, I guess. So today is December 2nd. And the record for today's date is 2.7 inches of snowfall back in the year 2000. So it looks like we might be close to the record. If not hit the record, we'll have to wait for the official total out of Louisville. But it looks like we might have hit the record snowfall for today's date, as I'm seeing a lot of 3-inch amounts over Louisville. I'm not seeing any reports coming in farther south. I did get a report from Hodgenville, from Orlean earlier, of just a little bit of a glaze of kind of like a sleet or a light icing. So we've got Laura Day here in Meade County with 3 inches. Thanks for that report there. Wayne Little with 4 inches in Charlestown, Indiana. Good morning to Beverly Haggis there in Borden. Ashley Holmquist, 4 inches in Goshen. So yeah, we're talking about yesterday, the last forecast, 1 to 3 inches with some isolated pockets of maybe 4. So it looks like we did have some banding of up to 4 inches. Brenda Collings with 4 inches. Good morning to you. Thanks for tuning in here this morning with 4 inches there in Hanover. Erica in Charlestown, looking at about 3 inches. Ooh, here's the biggest one. Shelly Marino with 5 inches just up the road here up Highway 60 in Pekin. In Beverly there with 4 inches of snow. So on the higher end of the forecast there. And that'll do it. That'll cover up the roads. Even our neighborhood was treated with salt, and it's covered up. And our roads here in our neighborhood are very, very steep in what's called the Knobstone Escarpment of southern Indiana. So very hilly, and you don't want to test it out. I have one last year, my son and I were trying to get up the steep part. Right? We got stuck. I got out of the car. He got out of the car, and the car just took off by itself, sliding down the hill and almost went off the road. So we don't test it too much around here because we can get into some trouble. We got Nicole Shavers with 5 inches in New Albany in the Knobs. One of the higher amounts. Thank you, Nicole, for that report right there. So it came down pretty good overnight. But again, it is, as we see, long gone here and moving well off to the east. If you're popping in a little bit later here, we're checking out the Trimark cams and the cams around Indiana as well. That there, oops, let me pop it up so you can actually see it. That there is the Sellersburg camera at I-65. I think there's some that get off the interstate up here. I was curious what you guys got as far as up to the north a little bit. There's I-65 looking just fine there at Brownstown Road, your Underwood. Going up here towards Austin. Yeah, the crews have done a good job clearing it out. And they can obviously handle this kind of not a major snow and kind of a wet snow. And when you get that nice salt liquid barrier between the snow and the concrete, you can clear it off really nicely. Here's Crothersville exit, looking good there on I-65. So again, if you can get to your busy route, a lot of the secondary roads, a lot of the highways are going to be in pretty good shape. It's just getting out of the neighborhoods and the roads that have not been treated. Oh, there's a plow cam here. These are cool. Let's check it out. This is US 50 plow cam. This is from the actual camera of the plow. That's pretty cool. You can see the blade there. This is at Highway 50 up around Seymour. The plow cam. This was another plow cam here at 6:42. So 10 minutes ago. There you can see they're out working with the plow cam. See if I can find another plow cam. Yeah, here you go. This was at 6:46 with the plow cam. See a little bit, like kind of a layer of maybe of snow still on Highway 50. Plow cam in North Vernon, Indiana. Looks like things are cruising along just fine there. Here's on Indiana 250, the plow cam. There you can see the snow-covered road. There at 6:44. These plow cams are awesome. It's the first time I've actually used the plow cam. Let's check out. This is at 250. That was at 250 in Highway Indiana 3. Let's see what other plow cams we got. There's a lot of plows out there, obviously. So they're cruising. They're working on second. This is just north of with the plow cam at 6:43 on Indiana 135. My wife is up and getting ready for work. Here's South Boston between Henryville and Salem. The plow cam showing the roads there. So again, a lot of the highways in pretty good shape here this morning. South of Palmyra. Looking same deal pretty much everywhere. This is at Indiana 64, here at Crandall. Let's go to the plow cam on I-64. East of Corydon, heading towards New Albany. This is on Indiana 62, just south of 64. Where else do we want to go with the plow cam? So got a question here from Sharon Borders. How much in Louisville? I've seen reports of around 3 inches. I got a report of about 4 inches on the east side of Louisville. Huh? We got about 3 inches. Linda Missy, good morning. Not much. We have not much there in Clarksville. Orlean down in Hodgenville, about a half inch. Road 210 seems to be okay. That's good to hear. Nikki King, 3.5 inches in the Meadows. And Jeff, road's now pretty clear. Love your reports. Thanks for bringing them in. The Little York area at 4 inches from Jennifer Brandenburg. Thank you. And Robin Edwards, good morning to you. Didn't go out and measure, but I'd say 3 to maybe 4 inches there in Germantown. And Dennis Gregory, good morning. 3 inches there in Bedford. Slushy roads, but manageable. And you got to know your area. If you're in a flat area, you're comfortable with snow, you're probably in good shape. If you live in a neighborhood like mine where it's hilly, you probably, my neighbor, until the plows will go through, will not be able to get out of their house. It's too steep. And we got Shelly Gardner with about 3 to 4 inches. Shelly, what's your location? And thanks for the report there. So the thing I've learned today is there's the snowplow cams that are fun. I've never really used them. So there's the snowplow cam on Indiana 135 south of Salem. What other snowplow cams we got? This is just west of Seymour. Maybe a little glaze on the road there. Heading over to Bedford. As Dennis said, roads are pretty clear there. Over to Mitchell. Looking good in Mitchell. Good. Main routes are looking clear this morning, guys. Just wanted to give you a report of what the current conditions are across the area. Same deal for Louisville. There have been some crashes, slowing things down in some areas, but most of the major routes are looking pretty good overall. Looks like an accident at Grinstead Drive on 64, left shoulder, left lane blocked there. Bring up this camera. So heavy traffic here on 64 at Grinstead. It's going eastbound, so we got to slow down there with the lane blocked. And then it looks pretty heavy on 264 at Westport. Yeah. So there you can see you got a pretty good backup on 264 at Westport Road. And then on south, ooh, we got a pretty good slowdown here on 65 south into Shepherdsville. But south of Shepherdsville, that looks nice and clear. Nice clear camera view right there. As we cruise into Kentucky, cruising down I-65. Everything looks good on I-65. That's a beautiful camera as well. That's right at Lebanon Junction. And then here is at Elizabethtown. Everything looks good there. This looks like a light coating of snow there in E-Town. Over to Bardstown. See you, babe.
Love you. Have a good day.
Didn't want to kiss on camera, guys. My wife's heading off to work. So that was the only slowdown there. 65 south to Shepherdsville, good slowdown there. 264 at Westport, 64 eastbound at Grinstead Drive. I used to do traffic, guys, for many years. I was the weather and traffic together. We got the weather and traffic together here this morning as well. All right. So again, moral of the story, the snow is long gone as we bring up the radar and satellite. Look at that system expanding to the east, moving out of here. And looks like we're going to be pretty dry for a while. I didn't see a whole lot happening on the models until maybe this weekend, like really flip-flopping on the weekend. Wintry mixed chance, kind of Euro and GFS kind of saying around Sunday, but time will tell. But the rest of this week just looks cold and mostly dry. It looks like we'll have a reinforcing front move through Thursday morning. Might get a flurry out of that, but that's just we're going to be at like 34, 35 for a high today. So the snow might take a little time to melt, where we've got the 3 to 4 inch amounts. And so typically here with the National Weather Service, they'll plot out snowfall reports of around 2 inches or more. This is a 3.5 inch report from the National Weather Service employee at Middletown. And then we got a local storm report here. Snow report, 2.7 inches in Hamburg, Indiana. Pekin reported 2.5 from the emergency manager. Reports of slide offs there in Washington County, Indiana, but have someone on here commented up to near 5 inches. Scottsburg, some slide offs reported there at 3 inches. And over here in Franklin County, 2 inches of snow. So it looks like we're not getting many reports south of Louisville. So my guess is this is a band of about generally 2 to 4 inches. And then down here, because we got the report from Orlean and Hodgenville here, I'm going to say generally an inch or less once you get Bullitt County south, and then very little farther south towards the Cumberland Parkway. I mean, matched up pretty well with a lot of the weather models that we have been putting out. There's some weather models that had like nothing. And so that there's a few mean people that just like to say mean things on the social media, talking about you need to get rid of computers and the weather models don't work. Well, that's a stupid thing to say. The weather models are incredible and they get better every day. And so the skill to that is, getting used to which weather models do a better job. And which are out to lunch, like I show a lot the NAM 3 kilometer, and it had been showing like inch or less. So I kind of threw that one out. The HER was showing some high amounts. The NAM, the RAP weather model was pretty good. GFS weather model, pretty good. Euro was very, very low. It was doing the worst for several days, and then it started yesterday to ramp up the numbers. So you're kind of looking at a consensus. You're looking at QPF, your quantitative precipitation forecast, how much liquid you have to work with, match up with the temperature, how much melting you might get. And it looked like about 1 to 3 inches a couple days ago for me. And that's pretty much what we've got. And of course, there's going to be a range. Sometimes you'll get a little kind of a thin band, maybe over a couple counties that might overachieve. That's where we got a couple 4 inch amounts. And then you're going to get some areas that might hit a more of a dry slot band and may only get like an inch or two. So there's always going to be a range when you're forecasting for 30 counties or so. But the forecast, in my opinion, was pretty good with the 1 to 3 inches across the area. I think it was a well-warranted winter weather advisory from the National Weather Service as well. John Fox, no kiss cam. Shelly with 3 to 4 inches there in Shelbyville. Thank you for that report. John Fox with 2 inches. They're in Highview. That matches up with a report of around that much I saw earlier near your area. Marcus Barnes, my forecast map for the Louisville area was spot on in Louisville. Very nice. Janet Berry with 2 to 3 inches in North Vernon. Wonder if there's ice under it. I don't think there's ice under it. Now, when I was going to bed last night, I did initially hear some sleet coming down and then turned over to snow. And to be honest with you, I woke up, I think it was at 4. I posted that picture and put some logs on the fire and was, crossing my fingers. There was some snow out there because when you're forecasting up to 3 inches of snow, if there's nothing, that's when you're in trouble. I'm more worried if we get nothing rather than if we get a little bit more, because we will hear it in the meteorological community if it's a total bust. But this forecast is pretty spot on as far as the snow amounts and the impacts as well. And I'd say most roads are going to be in pretty good shape this afternoon. If your neighborhood is covered and it's hilly, you might want to delay that travel until a plow comes through. Like my neighborhood's a little too rough right now for a lot of our neighbors. Thankfully, thank you again to my neighbor Mike. He got the tractor out a couple hours ago and did clear a lane for many of us. Good to have good neighbors, right? D. Allen, 3 inches of the fluffy inches in Germantown. How are the main roads? So yeah, D, we were checking out all the Trimark cams, and the main roads are all in good shape. Crews have been doing a great job out there. The Metro Louisville crews and state crews. Let me go ahead and pop up. We can pop up some cams and we'll wrap it up. Moral of the story is, I would say 1 to 4 inches. Generally, 4 is a little more isolated. And let me go ahead and bring up the Trimark here for you. D. So one of I think this showed the side roads. Yeah, so here is look at Westport Road. So there you can see Westport Road looks nice and clear. And the goal is if your neighborhood's flat and has snow cover on it, I'm fine driving on a flat snow covered road. No big deal whatsoever. And I've seen in my history of doing traffic coverage is I've seen less accidents on a snowy morning most of the time than a really wet morning because people are still driving fast with water on the roads. And then most of the time we'll take it easier and slow down when there's snow covered roads. Now, when there's a mix like this, when you think it's all clear, then there might be some black ice on the bridges and overpasses. That's when there can be more accidents, when there's snow on the roads. When it looks clear, not totally clear, then we're hitting the gas pedal and we're getting slide off reports in many counties across the area. But when they're totally snow covered, typically a lot less accidents, in my opinion, and the many hours and years of covering traffic. John Fox, hope I can get the nap is in the future because we've had the wood stove going since Thanksgiving Day, and that means getting up, during the overnight pee break, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and putting a log on the fire or logs to keep it going. And not only it'll keep going. I mean, you can put an overnighter log on the fire and it'll keep going with some coals. But if you want it warm, we actually cut a hole in the ceiling over here, right above my finger right there. I put a little fan in it to draw the air up because the heat rises in where the stove is here. And it can be 80 degrees in this room. And to transfer that heat upstairs, we put that little transfer there. Thanks to my buddy Chad for helping me with that project. Janet saying we got a neighbor that gets his tractor out on our county road too. It's a blessing when you got a neighbor with a nice tractor. That is no doubt about that. Okay. Thanks, guys, for tuning into an early edition. It's not Ben at 10. It was Ben at 6:40, I think we popped on this morning. But road's pretty clear, and I learned something new. I think I saw these before, but I just never used them. But the snowplow cams. You can have fun just checking out the snowplow. So this is 511in.org. You click on the snowplow, and you can just cruise with them. They all have cameras. And it shows like where they've been too. Like when you click on the plow, you can just so that's that snowplow. What other plow we got? Okay, we got one here between South Boston and Salem and Washington County, Indiana, and a nice clear looking road right there with that is at 7:04. So just a few minutes ago with that snowplow cam between Lexington and Swanville on Indiana 356. So here's a snow covered one. We haven't seen many of those. There's 7:04. So there you can see some of the county roads snow covered this morning. So we're talking about highways, interstates, good shape, working on the county roads, neighborhood roads, snow covered. It's kind of the situation here this morning. We got another plow here on up near Madison. You can see a lot of snow on the roads there on Indiana 62. Up north of Madison to Bryantsburg, this is 421. Little layer of snow that they're working on there. So it could be a little sketchy in some areas here, guys. Near DuPont, Indiana, snowplow cam. Very cool stuff. And again, the main routes are all in great shape. Here's I-65. Looks like they're just working on the sides, the shoulders. Okay. There's also temperatures. They've got a few of these weather stations, if I can find them. I've clicked on too many snowplow cams. It's got everything messed up here. But anyway, you get the road. There's some thermometers here and there as well. I'm having trouble finding them. There we go. So this is Jeffersonville. The road surface temperature is 33 degrees. So that's close enough. It says a black ice on the approach on that ramp. Here, let me come back over here. So bottom left, air temperature 31, surface, the road temperature 33, and then black ice report. So as we get to right around freezing or below freezing, black ice can be an issue, can be some refreezing. We've got we go back to extolmag.com/weather. So current conditions, 31 degrees. By the way, as I always say, lots of resources here for you if you want to get your forecast information. extolmag.com/weather. We'll be updating a lot of this here in just a little bit. And we can also plot the temperatures with our weather graphics. We'll end it with our current conditions. The snow is long gone. Definitely an overnight event as far as the snow here for us. Where are my current temperatures? There we go. Okay. Oops, I don't want to draw on it. So, current temperatures. We got 27 up in Columbus, India, 30 in Louisville now, 32 in Elizabethtown. So we're right at, I would say, 28 to 32. Of course, it gets a lot colder up to the northwest. So got to be careful with some slick spots, bridges, overpasses. To sum this up with the current conditions here this morning, they're working on the county roads, highways, interstates, great shape. And a lot of the main routes, secondary routes are in pretty good shape around the city. Watch out on the county roads that haven't been worked on yet. Your neighborhood roads are going to be snow covered for many of you. You get south of Bullitt County, I don't see a whole lot of snow in general, maybe a half inch down to LaRue County or so. And look at a couple of comments, and then we'll wrap things up. We'll be back at 10. Yeah, we'll be back on at 10 o'clock. And Janet saying thanks for watching here this morning. We've got to report lots of wrecks already. Yeah, I did see a lot of reports of slide offs in many of the counties. Are we going to see the sun anytime soon? I think we will get some peaks of sunshine out there today. Good question. Decent amount of cloud cover this week, though, unfortunately. Bringing up here the rad sat. Let me see. Still a lot of cloud cover across the region. But there it is. Oh, this is what I was looking at. There it is. There goes the snow off to the east. Here's the report down south. There was a report of 1.5 inches in Grayson County. So there you go. 1 to 4 inches kind of sums it up here across the region. Thank you so much, Orlean, for tuning in. Thanks for your report there in LaRue County as well. All right. We maybe talk a little bit more about the snow and the road conditions coming up at 10 a.m. I will get working on that forecast, but thanks for tuning in to our live update on the snowy Tuesday morning of December the 2nd. And maybe close to the record. 2.7, I think, is the record in Louisville for today's date. If we get to 3, we've set a brand new snowfall record for today. All right, be safe out there, guys, and we'll see you soon.